Welcome back everyone to G.OctoCosplayCreations. Today, I'm going to be showing you how to fix some of my cosplays. We're going to start with Alistair's tail. This is essentially just a stuffed animal with some belt loops, but you can see here that the fabric is starting to pull away from it. So I'm just going to go in with a hand sew and fix that up so it lays flat. And just like that, Alistair's tail's all good to go, and we're not going to be worried about it falling off me next time I wear it. Next part up is Alistair's hooves. These ones were a chore to make, to say the least, and kind of glad that I get to show you how I made them in the first place. Now, so we're going to start off by pulling this fabric down so I can see the actual shoe part. And then we're going to remove the shoe from the hoof, and then we're going to take off the sole so I can really start getting to work here. We're going to remove the shoe from the hoof so we can actually start getting those screws back in. And once everything is separated once again, I'm gonna go in with my drill. And this was a bit of an interesting time because the drill's a bit broken and I only ever got like one screw in before I had to go charge it again. So it was a bit of a mess, but eventually I got all four out, and we're gonna bring back that plastic sole part of the shoe and drill the screw through the plastic into the resin. This way we have a little bit of stability to keep the hoof back on the sole. And when we put in plenty of screws, adding a bit more than 4 this time to decrease the chances that it'll pop out again. So since some of the screws are still popping out, what I want to do is poke some holes into the foam to make room for those screws. Again, it was really hot outside and I didn't want to keep running around for extra tools. So I just kind of grabbed the sharpest drill piece I can find. You see me struggling here. It's a lot easier to use something like an X-Acto knife, but it did its job. And when all the holes are poked and it can lay decently flat, we're going to slather this thing in generous amounts of glue. Now, if I was smart, I would probably have used some stronger glue, but we're using E6000 because that's what I had, and the glue, to be fair, wasn't what failed. It was the screws popping out, so hopefully we're good. This time we're going to be putting a bit of the glue underneath the sole, and we're going to try poking it into place with my little glue paintbrush here. And then put generous amounts on top as well to keep the shoe from falling off and really keep it on there. I have a bunch of rubber bands, so I always wrap these things up. That way the glue has time to cure into place as I want it to be. But next up is Lucifer's wings. This one is a much simpler fix. These wings are made out of foam and Elmer's glue. And of course, every time I wear these things, they molt like crazy. Kind of a mess, and I definitely need to find stronger glue, but I'm still sticking with that thing because, again, it's what I have on me, and since I couldn't really bring these outside to work on them, I couldn't use something like the E6000 and let it cure outside. So we're just going to stick with the Elmer's glue for now. And you can see here that little bald spot. So we're going to take a small piece, put the top half in glue and stick it right into place, and then we're going to forget about it and let it dry. And we're just going to repeat that a few times. Again, I had a stockpile because I'm collecting them as they fall off, but I can't get all of them, so I did have to cut some more. Much like when I made my Lucifer cape, they don't need to be perfect, so you can just kind of hand free these weird ovals and glue them down. We also had to do some of the larger ones, which is pretty much the same. If you're going to be making something like this from scratch, don't be like me. Start at the bottom of the wings and work your way up. Because I'm just fixing these, I was kind of doing whatever I felt like, but it's a lot easier to glue on top of instead of working your way underneath what's already done. It makes it easier on you and makes it look better too. Next up is Gen's pockets. Gen is such a fun cosplay because he's fairly simple, but his pockets are the only way I get to hold anything. So I end up putting everything I can inside these pockets, and because the material is so delicate, these things keep ripping. It's a very simple fix because you just need to hold the strings and the hem back and straight sew it down. Gen's laces also need to be fixed. Now these were a long time coming. The buttons were once covered in a gray fabric, but because of the way it attaches, that had fallen off long before. See, some of them still have it though, and the laces themselves are starting to rip. So I decided I was just going to redo this completely. I never really cared for how it looked anyways, since in the anime he's always shown to be more rectangular instead of like actual buttons. So I decided to remove the buttons and we're going to replace it with fasteners. So first step was removing the triangles from this. I don't have a seam ripper, so I'm just going with my fabric scissors, and we're just going to cut through the thread so let all of these be single. So now when we're done, we're going to move these and we're going to iron them down. They're all crumpled and folded, so we want to even that out since we're not going to need those folds anymore. Do it individually as we lay it down and then place the iron over it. Hold it for a little bit so they can stick. Now it's not perfect, but it does what it needs and it'll be trained out of it eventually, I hope. I'm gonna go back down and you can see how I have sewn one side of these down and the other side still needs to be hemmed. So we're gonna go in, we're gonna roll it over and hand sew through it. That way we are not dealing with raw edges and it looks a little bit neater. Then it's time to actually add the fasteners. I don't really want either of the fasteners to be showing, so we're going to be working closer towards the middle, and I'm planning to glue it down. But we're also going to do this with hand sewing, put it right underneath the rolled hem, and sew it down. And I don't think I was able to get a video of this one. What I ended up doing was I put on the shirt pinned where I wanted the fasteners to be, just because it wasn't going to be in quite the same place as the pins, and I wanted to make sure I got it right. We're going to cut those buttons off to make room for the fasteners though. Again, hand sew that other little piece into place, and then the Gen shirt is all done. And all of my cosplays, just like that, are fixed again. Thanks so much for watching and joining me in this crafting journey. Stay crafting, everyone.